back. For today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna install the turbo. We're gonna do the oil feed, oil return, coolant feed, coolant return, and run the piping from the intercooler to the turbo itself. So we're gonna secure all the hot side stuff. All right, so as you can see right here, we installed the ready oil, the oil filter relocation kit. So that's still here. We're gonna find some place to put where the oil filter will actually relocate and go. But in the meantime, we have a bunch of lines here, and this one is coming from the back of the head and it's draining straight down into the oil pan. And then this one, these two actually go into the firewall, into the car for your heater core. So that's how you get your heat in the car. And we gone ahead and swap off the two nipples that come out of the actual heater core itself and install these Bonjo style. As you can see, they come straight off the firewall and not protrude all the way out. And these are also aluminum. They're not gonna get crystallized over time. So this is what they look like before, and as you can see, over 25 years, a lot of heat cycle, they get crystallized and they break. Additionally, if you come back here again, we have the boost dock adapter piece that taps into the water thermostat housing, right? And so this is what is going to return the water from the firewall. Also, it's going to allow the water coming out of the turbo to go back into the water neck. Two fittings right here, they are NPT to AN, right? So one's smaller, one's bigger. The bigger one's going to go on the right, just underneath the number 6 runner for the headers, and that's going to be the water feed for the turbo. The smaller one is going to go right here between the middle of the headers and into the block, and that's going to be the right there in the middle of your screen. That's going to be your oil feed for the turbo. We're using the PTFE lines. As you can see in that previous clip, I just cut it to length. What you want to do is you take this piece, you slide it on over the line itself, and then you need something to separate the inner Teflon piece or plastic. It's more like plastic. You want to separate it from the outer part, which, even though it doesn't look like steel braided, it is steel braided. And then on top of the steel braid, there's like a coating. In this case, it's black. So what you want to do is get something like this, or a small screwdriver or whatever, and separate it all the way around, just enough so you can slip this between both of them. And then when you slip this in between both of them, you want to push it all the way until it's all the way seated. There's a groove in the top, and you're going to push it till it seats all the way in there. And then you'll go ahead and pop this in. So I'm going to demonstrate with this one. Once you get it opened up, I'm going to pop this on. And what I've been doing, I use a little mallet and I tap it in place. I'm not sure how close you can get up in there, but it's all the way seated to the top of this right here on the inside. Just going to slide this in and then pull the bottom part up to it while keeping pressure on both of them so it doesn't push this part out. You start turning this. Once you get to a certain point, you need 2 wrenches so you can continue to tighten both of them together. It's another day. You can tell it's another day because I'm always wearing another shirt. All right, with this car, it's little increments. We get little wins, and then we got to regroup and come up with new strategies. So everything on the hot side is, I want to say, 90% complete. The only thing undone or incomplete is the boost solenoid, because obviously we don't have the wiring or any of that stuff yet. So, but we do have the 2 lines coming off the wastegate. So with that, the wastegate is on there. We got the 2 lines on the wastegate already pre-connected. The turbo is mounted. All the lines are in their water. feed, return, oil feed, oil return, everything is set up. The down pipe is on there and connected to the mid pipe. And then he had to go get this cut short to fit this big old filter. So that's just sitting there. It's not 100% secure because we're gonna have to remove it to put the intercooler piping on. But as far as all the piping and routing lines, everything is 100% complete over here. Now what we could do in the meantime, while we wait for the harness to show up still, is the trigger kit. We're gonna essentially create a crank sensor down here by the crankshaft pulley, and then up here we're gonna create or simulate a cam sensor. What I'm gonna do now is go under here and show you how to set up this the pulley, the crankshaft sensor kit that we're gonna use, and it came from Ross Performance out of Australia. And so in the box, it comes with this bracket and the bolts that goes with it, and then the sensor. However, we sent the sensor out to the wiring company, so they wired it the right way. But in the meantime, I'm gonna put the hardware on the car and get that going, and I'm gonna come up top and install the sensor for the cam sensor, so to speak. So as we're underneath the car, these two bolts, the two middle ones on the oil pan, you gotta remove those. The bracket's gonna go up here like that, and then the sensor will get screwed into here, and then it'll pick up the reading from these teeth on the Ross pulley. All right, moving on. This is the piece. This is the piece that's gonna go here for the cam sensor. This will sit over here. And then once you have this in here, the sensor will go in here. And once the sensor goes through this hole right here, like my finger is, it'll pick up the reading every time this little piece rotates around. Now, in order for me to put this on, we got to put the covering plate on the front of the engine, the cam cover, and also we need to torque this bolt. Now, we didn't have good luck the last time. We tried to torque it to 85, and I think that's what Nissan spec service manual says, but it broke. Fortunately for us, we were able to get a new one, which is better, right? Because it's not stretched, it's brand new. So we're gonna torque that down and then put the cover plate on. Then we can install this piece. All right, so we got the cam. I'm gonna call it the cam sensor bracket because in my head that's what it's gonna do. But that's on. And then, all right, so this is an aftermarket radiator. It's a Bliss radiator, and Slick got it from RHD Japan. And the stock shroud bolts right up to it. All right, so another thing we're doing with the coolant system is we're upgrading the stock fan to this GK Tech fan. This adds or gives 40% more CFM than the stock fan. There are more blades on it, and somehow the design allows it to produce more air. The game plan this evening is to get the fuel system sorted out. So first thing we're going to do is remove the stock fuel pump and the hanger right here and replace that with the fuel pump that we're going to drop in, and we'll go through that once we get to it. Also, we're going to take down the stock fuel line underneath the car all the way up to the engine and completely strip the car of those two wire lines, both the feed and the return. All right, so that's what it looks like when you remove the cover plate with the harness. The wiring is, one of these is the breather, one's the feed, one's the return. So it's a bunch of quick release. You just squeeze these bad boys in and pull it off. And then we're gonna have to use a hammer or something because we don't have the tool to open the O-ring. I mean the big ring that is securing the fuel pump into the hanger, or the hanger into the tank. So that's the next step. Disconnect the lines and pull that puppy out of there. All right, so here's the top hat completely removed from the car itself. Now, this line here on the left is the fuel feed, this is the fuel return, and this is the ventilation. Now, as you can see, the diameter of this internal is really small. It's not going to be big enough to push the amount of volume we need. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete this piece, which right here you can see is where it would feed from the stock fuel pump into this piece right here. We're going to bypass it and break this off intentionally. We're gonna break that off and we're gonna stop it up with some 2-part epoxy, and then we're gonna do a bulkhead fitting. We're gonna do a bulkhead fitting right here. So on this side right here, this is the exact fitting we're gonna use. It's a ORB-8 to -8 AN style. So we're gonna center it right here on this side to where we know it'll line up nice and good, and then we're gonna drill a hole through it and install it. There it is. So we went in and got a little syringe and we just pull it in here and put it in there nice and neat. As you can see, it's full all the way through. So we're just gonna let that sit there for about 15 minutes. In the meantime, we can start working on the actual fuel pump on and the hanger, so on and so forth, while this set up in the 15 minutes. So that's what's happening. Okay. All right, so we're gonna get into some stuff right now. We're gonna remove the fuel pump from the actual hanger itself, and then we're gonna replace it with this puppy right here. It's a Walbro 450. In doing so, this is the actual feed line for the fuel pump itself, the power and ground, or ground and signal. It's the same difference. So we're gonna end up having to cut this wire and splice this end on it, so it'll plug into here. Also, this line right here, we're gonna swap it off, just because we're already in here with a 5/16 submersible fuel hose. It doesn't say submersible on it, but it's a fuel line hose, and so we're gonna swap it off, because the way this thing is set up in the car is this is way down in the tank, and then the top hat with the controls and the wiring is like way up here. So we're gonna swap this off with this piece right here, and then we're also gonna put a new piece right here between the actual pickup tube and the fuel pump. So let's disassemble this and then go right into it. That is it. All right, so we've come to the conclusion. All right, so we decided we're gonna chop this piece off right here and then just run the fuel line from the top of the fuel pump all the way up to the bulkhead. So we're gonna chop this off right here. As you can see, I got my safety glasses and my safety hat on for safety. All right, so it's another day because we had to let this thing dry up, the 2-part epoxy, and then we had to order a new bulkhead fitting because the one we had was too short. So we ordered a different one. It's a -8 and male on both ends, and it just needed to be longer because the one we had simply was too short, and then the fuel pump wouldn't be able to screw onto it. So now this will go here. The fuel pump will get plugged into here like it did originally. Ran the -8 fuel line that is going to connect to here all the way up into the fuel filter. It's kind of hard to show underneath the car because it's not a lift. The car is not too high, but I'm going to try to show it. And then we went out off the filter 2 -6s onto the front and the rear of the fuel rail, and then we're going to do the fuel return from the middle with a -6 back to the fuel hanger. Everything is set up, but we removed the plate. That way when we get the car started and power up, we can see if we have any leaks. Also, we got the battery relocation kit pretty much set up. This is an inline trip fuse from the power hot side. So both terminals are back here and the battery is secure, nice and tight. So that's done. Underneath right here, we got the 2 lines ran for the catch can. It's gonna sit down in here, but we're just keeping it up here for now because we're still doing some stuff. Now we're gonna get into the final bits, which is the wiring harness. Now, the wiring harness was set out about a month and a half or 2, give or take. to wiring specialties. Now Slick had to send his stock wiring to them, and went online and he told them all the sensors he's going to use and whatever gauges and stuff, and they pretty much took his stock harness, took the plugs they needed from it, and made it into a brand new harness right here with a Link Fury X ECU. That's the ECU of choice. As far as sensors, a 4-bar map sensor and 2 pressure sensors. One pressure sensor is going to be for oil pressure, the other one is going to be for fuel pressure. And then all the other sensors on the car is going to give signal, which can be read by the through the ECU when you plug it into a laptop or the MFD. It's not really an MFD, but he has a digital readout in the car, which we can show you now as well. Essentially, it's a big display that's going to show you all the readouts that you want it to see. So you can program it to show whatever you want to see on there that the engine is doing. This time we're going to be doing the relay for the fuel pump. So this connector right here is what goes onto the plug right here, and it has 2 wires in it. It has a white with green and a black with yellow stripe. Now the black with yellow stripe is the negative side, and the white with blue or green is the positive side. However, this car has 2 relays back here in the right hand corner where the relays are. So if you're looking at it from this perspective, the one on the left over there is the one that I'm going to get rid of. Now, as it is currently, these 2 blue wires are both positive with the key on. And this black with pink, this little one right here and with my finger on it, is the one that is sending the signal from the ECU to trigger the relay, and then it sends the signal back to the pump through this black and yellow right here. Now, we want to get rid of this and run our own relay. So essentially, I'm going to take a normal relay. I'm going to show you though. Here's where we're at. The red wire goes all the way around and will be connected to the battery terminal, constant 12 volts. Now, the orange wire on this relay kit is the one that would traditionally go to your fuel pump. In this case, the black and yellow wire goes to the pump, so the orange wire goes into this wire, which in turn ends up go around to the pump. The brown wire here is supposed to be the trigger wire, but it doesn't need to trigger anymore, so we're going to put it on also another 12 volt, which this black and blue is a positive 12 when the key's on. So the brown, or if you have a normal color relay, this would be blue wire, and the blue would go to this black and blue. And then the negative terminal, which would normally get grounded on all relays, is going to get tied into the signal wire coming from the ECU. And so this is when it's going to complete the circuit with that negative signal and then send the signal through the orange wire to the fuel pump. Hopefully that makes sense. But these are your 3 wires that you're going to end up using in that order. All right, so we send the battery out to go get trickle charge at the parts store. So we got the harness plugged in, and we have this little jumper box connected. So we're going to hit it and see if it should, in theory, come on. So let's see what happens here. There you go. Nice and easy. By the way, this is the Link Fury X ECU. That's what it looks like. So at the moment, the tuner, he's remote in on this computer right here. So that's him. He's in Florida and he's doing his thing.
Are you sure it's number 1?
Oh. Yeah.
Number 2?
Yeah.
Number 3?
Yeah.
Number 4?
Yeah.
5?
Yeah.
6?
Yeah.
We have to redo some stuff with the timing. As you can see, the radiator is out, it's raising the car, and we're gonna give it a go for the first time. Now, I know a lot of people on YouTube don't believe when we say this is the first start, but I'm gonna prove it. Hold on to the exhaust, dog. Show them that it's cold.
Oh, yeah, it's cold. It's cold as shit.
Dead cold. So we about to go live whenever he's ready.